Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first board meeting of the new school year. I'd like to call us to order at 9:07. And if we could please have the land acknowledgement from Trustee Gimber.
Okay, welcome to our division office located on the traditional land and territory of the Niitsitapi, Piikani, Kainai, and Siksika, the Blackfoot people, within the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta.
Thank you. And now if we could please stand for O Canada. Thank you. That was a great O Canada from, sorry, I didn't catch what school that was. West Meadow. Thank you. All right, moving on to our agenda. We have our consent agenda. Recommendation that the September 24th, 2024 consent agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as presented or amended. Can I get someone to make that motion? Trustee Yegas? Yeah, she did. All right, anything regarding the consent agenda? Trustee Charchin? Trustee Charchin has joined us online today. Trustee Charchin, did you have anything you wanted to change?
Thank you. Good morning. Can we please pull the professional learning consent agenda?
Sure. We'll make that E10. Anything else resulting from the consent agenda?
I wanted the professional learning also, so.
Okay, so perfect. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Did you have anything, Trustee Gimber?
The approval of the minutes? Is that now or is that part of the consent
That's
agenda?
part of the
So I
consent
need that
agenda.
pulled then, please.
You need the minutes pulled
Yeah,
for an action item?
there's an error in the minutes.
Okay. Okay, we can pull those two. We can make that E11 then.
I had some questions I wanted to ask Mr. Kuzak, but regarding his report, I was wondering maybe if Mr. Sequin can answer some of them.
Mr. Seaman said that we could try.
I'd like then to pull his report. There's one I wanted to get some information on.
So just an information item, so
Yeah.
we can make that E4 or F4,
Thank you.
just before our presentation, I think, yeah. So it shouldn't take too long on Chad. Okay, anything else? All right, is the recommendation that the September 24, 2024 consent agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as amended? I'm going to ask, because we have someone online, if there's any opposed. Seeing none, carried. All right, emergent changes to the agenda. Recommendation that the September 24, 2024 regular board meeting agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as presented or amended. Can I get someone to make that motion? Trustee Long? Was there any changes to the agenda? Trustee Toon?
Yes, just asked to table the net update. We have a meeting scheduled after this meeting, so we'll have an update at the next meeting.
Perfect, thank you. Any other changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, it is the recommendation that the September 24th, 2024 regular board meeting agenda be approved by the Board of Trustees as amended. Any opposed? Seeing none. Declaration of conflict of interest. Recommendation that the Board of Trustees declare if they have any conflicts of interest relating to the agenda items from the September 24th, 2024 board meeting, and if so, should declare them. Hearing none. Moving on to our action items. E1, leading at the speed of trust professional learning opportunity. The board will discuss having this workshop facilitated by David George in a one-day format customized for trustees. This workshop comes forward to the board as a result of the board's self-evaluation session last June. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees direct the Professional Learning Committee to schedule a time for David George to facilitate this learning opportunity. Trustee Yegas, were you making this motion?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'll open it up to you.
Okay, thank you. As said, we, during our self-evaluation, it was suggested that we have David George come and do a one-day presentation on this. Mr. Sequin has more information about David George. And so I would like to turn it over to him to give it, if he would mind.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Siegel.
There we go. I just had to move it forward. As many of you know, David has worked with the board for many different capacities over the years. So there's a good working relationship with him. David is a facilitator for Franklin Covey, so he's very familiar with the course. The school division has all access pass, which gives us the rights to all of the materials, the videos, that sort of thing. So David is willing to, as he understands the role of the trustees, he's willing to customize normally a 2-day workshop into a 1-day workshop, specifically giving examples and that sort of things of situations that trustees might find themselves in, rather than kind of like a business model. So he's willing to customize that. So for course, the materials, facilitation, travel and subsistence, I think all in it's $1,500.
All righty, thank you. The floor is open for any questions or comments. Trustee Long?
I'm not sure that we need to do more work on trust. I think we've been through quite a bit discussion-wise and have worked things out amongst each other. And I'm just not sure that we need more PD on trust. I think we have that now.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Trustee Yegas?
I think David George does more than just talk about trust. I think what he will do is look at, as Mr. Sequin said, it would be about board work and how we do it. And I think a lot of this is a governance part of it. I think a lot of this would be a good renewal for all of us for this year. So I really think that if we're going to do any kind of workshop, this would be a good workshop.
Thank you. Trustee Charchen, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. I agree with both Trustee Long and Trustee Yegus that we have made some progress and are gelling as a team. But I also feel that, as Trustee Yegus said, that continued attention to it would benefit the group and ultimately everyone we serve. So I would be voting in favor of it for that reason.
Thank you, Trustee Charchen. Any other comments? Trustee Gimber?
Yeah, thank you. I think that we still have a loop that needs to be closed on our board self-evaluation, so I think that this is helping close that loop. Therefore, I would be voting in favor of it.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'll throw my 2 cents worth in. I think it's any kind of group PD that we can do together as a board only benefits us and can only make us stronger. So I also am in favor of doing this with everybody. All right, so seeing no, Trustee Yegus, would you like to close?
Yes, I would. And if, oh, sorry, if we vote in favor, we will, the Professional Learning Committee will get together and decide and try to find a date that's compatible and bring it to the next board meeting. And so that we could make a decision on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Yegus. Yes, and the recommendation it is the committee will schedule a time, so that works out perfectly. I don't think that encompasses that whole thing. Okay, so the recommendation on the floor is that the Board of Trustees direct the Professional Learning Committee to schedule a time for David George to facilitate this learning opportunity. Any opposed? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Oh. So Deputy Superintendent, E2. Superintendent Seguin will seek the Board of Trustees approval of appointing Associate Superintendent Richard Feller as Deputy Superintendent. Recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of the Associate Superintendent Richard Feller as Deputy Superintendent. Can I please get someone to make that motion? Trustee Long? All right, the floor is open for discussion. Trustee Toon?
No discussion, but just wanted to know if we're turning it over to the superintendent on this one to speak to it.
Most definitely, not trustee. Mr. Seguin, would you like to make a few comments?
Sure, it won't take long, but just as the board knows, if for any reason I was unable to fulfill my responsibilities as the superintendent, it's important for the board to have a deputy superintendent in place that can act and make decisions and move the work of the board forward and the division. So I recommend Mr. Feller to the board at this time.
Thank you. Any other questions around that? Comments? Okay, seeing none. The recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Associate Superintendent Richard Feller as Deputy Superintendent. Any opposed? Seeing none, carried. CAS professional membership fee. With the implementation of the CAS Act, CAS membership is now mandatory for the superintendents in Alberta and therefore a job requirement. In response to the October 30th, 2023 motion number 23-039, that the Board of Trustees pay the CAS professional membership fee for the superintendent for the 2023-24 school year. To be reviewed at the September board meeting, 2024 board meeting, the Board of Trustees will discuss the payment of the CAS membership fee. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees pay the CAS membership fee for the superintendent for the 2024-2025 school year. Can I please get someone to make that motion? Trustee Yegus? All right, Trustee Agus, would you like to speak to it?
As you seem to have the information, Madam Chair, I'll let you speak to it.
Sure. We don't really have much more information. It's just we, as a board, we put this on our work list. It is to be approved and discussed for Mr. Seguin to pay his membership fee because it is not part of the yearly thing. So as a board, we just need to have that discussion and then approve to pay it. So if anybody else, Mr. Seguin, if you'd like to add anything, or if anybody else would like to add anything, this is just a yearly thing we do right now. I don't have any much more information on that.
I can just add that
Sure.
the CAS Act it has been changed in the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, came into effect. And so it is a job requirement now. And our organization does pay the professional membership fees of everybody else in the organization in their roles, so.
Thank you. I see Trustee Charchin had, did you have your hand up, Trustee Charchin? Great, okay. We can't hear you, Trustee Charchin. Are you muted?
I am muted, all
There
these
we go.
buttons, sorry. Yes, I do just like to add, as everybody said, it is a requirement. And I believe that having Superintendent Seguin attending these benefits us as a board as well as the whole school division. So I would support paying his fees.
Thank you, Trustee Charchin. Trustee Long?
My understanding is this is something that boards have paid in the past in their contracts. I see no reason why we should make a stand on this issue. We should follow the pattern of other boards in the province.
Thank you, Trustee Long. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none. Sorry? Okay, nothing new. Okay, perfect. Trustee Agus, would you like to close?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody was saying. I think I think it's important that we support our superintendent in this endeavor. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna call the question on that. So the recommendation that the Board of Trustees pay the CAS membership fee for the superintendent for the 2024-2025 school year. Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, carried. Moving on to E4, Board Policy 8 amendments. As a result of the motions of the organizational meeting and the last regular board meeting, updates were required to Policy 8. These updates have been made. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the changes to Policy 8 as presented or amended. Trustee Gimber, were you making that motion? All right, perfect. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Are we wanting to pull it up, or did everybody take a look at them already? Pull it up? We're good. Okay. So there was just a couple of housekeeping items that were done in Policy 8 based on the organizational meeting and regular board meeting from June and May, if that's it.
Perfect, yeah. They were good. Any questions around that? Everybody had a chance to look it over, so. Okay, seeing none, so that the Board of Trustees approve the changes to Board Policy 8 as presented. Any opposed? Seeing none, carried. All right, moving on to E5, legal review of Board Policy 15 and Policy 5. From time to time, it is recommended policies are reviewed by the LRSD's legal team to ensure that they are accurate, up-to-date, and complete. The LRSD Board of Trustees have recently reviewed Policy 15, Teacher Transfers, and Policy 5, Code of Conduct, and it was suggested we consider having them reviewed legally. Recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve having legal counsel review Policies 5 and 15. Trustee Gimber, are you also making that motion? Perfect. I will turn that over to you.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm making this motion on behalf of the policy committee. We met, we have recently, like as mentioned in there, gone over policy 15 and policy 5 as a board for PD, but it has been a long time since those two policies were reviewed by legal counsel, and it was just suggested that from time to time, it's a great idea to have them reviewed, even though the most recent updates were based on other boards' legally reviewed policies. We're just suggesting that these two be included in a legal review.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Floor is open for any questions, comments. Trustee Toon?
Yeah, thank you for the background on that. Is there a recommended time frame that would be adequate to review that, as in every 5 years, 10 years? Is there a time frame that is the recommendation of the policy? I know it's been a while, but some of the boards that we do use stuff from have legal counsel on retainer, and I know we provide context for ours, but I just didn't know if there was a certain amount of time in the discussion that policy had of it's good to that, and if that time frame would be put into policy to as a recommendation to have that going forward.
I am not aware of anything that exists right now saying that we have to do it on a recommended time frame. I think that's a fantastic idea to have something like that in policy for some of these ones. The reason these two came up is because they were items of potential concern that we may be challenged on when we were looking through them. So that's why we thought these two would be good ones. But no, to answer your question flat out.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments around that? Okay, I wanted to just add, I do agree with Trustee Toon that I think that's a great idea for putting in recommendations for how long these should go before council or before our legal counsel. And I do think it's also really important, even though we do use outside sources for some of our policies, it's still very good for us to know that we are on track with our legal and making sure that our policies are up to date. So I don't know when the last time it was for that. I can't remember looking at the date, but I do support making sure that we are in legal standing. Trustee Higgis?
The question, did we not take this code of conduct to legal before, or, I mean, I know it was at the beginning, but when we were discussing this a couple of years ago, it didn't go to legal. Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to answer that?
Sure, yes, sure, please.
So my understanding, and Trustee Poitras may be able to, I know she's not here, but may be able to shed more light on that, is that there was a review of the policy in respect of a situation, but it was not actually reviewed as a policy for, that's my understanding.
That is my understanding also. We had some recommendations to our code of conduct, and we did redo the code of conduct, but then I don't think the whole code of conduct has actually gone to legal to make sure that everything is in line. Yep, yeah. All right, any other comments? I'm going to call the question. All right, is the Board of Trustees approve having legal counsel review policies 5 and 15? Any opposed? Seeing none, carried. All right, E6. Thank you, Trustee Kimber, for the long intro on this one. Regional School Council Terms of Reference. In response to this past spring's motion for the board to conduct a review of all committees and suggest changes to positively impact the overall LRSD budget, the Regional School Council Committee met and have provided recommendations in the form of changes to the terms of reference for the 2024-2025. Originally, membership to this committee was set To all trustees, last year, to increase participation and interest in the Regional School Council, the terms of reference were amended. Membership was set to 2 trustees, with all trustees expected to attend. This did not produce the anticipated results. Therefore, the Regional School Council Committee is suggesting the membership be amended to include only 2 trustees assigned to the committee. In addition, the Regional School Council Committee believes those that do not attend the meetings in person scheduled to occur during dinner time should continue to be provided with a meal. This gesture increases camaraderie and shows appreciation for making the effort to attend in person. The Regional School Council Committee believes the budget for the year should be set at $500. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees that the board recommends adopt the changes from the Regional Council terms of reference as presented or amended, and this is moved by Trustee Gimber. Trustee Gimber, would you like to please speak to it?
Sure, thank you very much. So because there is a, so this revision of the terms of reference came about because of that motion that was passed to look at ways to save money or to make sure that we're following in lines with, well, being fiscally responsible. Therefore, there is currently no budget set for Regional School Council for food or the meals during the Regional School Council meetings. Therefore, we chose $500 for that number. And to limit the remuneration and kilometers that trustees are spending to come to the Regional School Council meetings. We were hoping to have all trustees at them last year, and that didn't happen. So we feel that there's 2 trustees on the committee for a reason, and those 2 trustees can share the information to the rest of the board, and the rest of the trustees don't need to be there. So that's a cost savings as well.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Any questions or comments? Trustee Long?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. First of all, one of my concerns is you change this and then it's changed for future boards as well. There may be disappointment in the fact that we're not getting a good turnout from the trustees of the board as it is currently, but next September you could have quite a different board, and you might have trustees who want to attend, and now you've prevented it. I don't see any reason to change this. If this is about money and trustees are not attending, it's not costing the board anything. If trustees aren't attending, so I don't know how this can be a cost saving, because there isn't any cost if trustees aren't attending. I would leave it the way it is for it's all trustees. Certainly, I would think for my own point of view, I'm not making the 3-hour drive in the nighttime to come to the meeting, and speaking for, and maybe I shouldn't, but I will, speaking for school council from the Crow's Nest Pass, that's a lot to expect. These people work, they have children, they have hockey and many things they have to be involved in. I think it's wonderful that they come to our school council meetings as it is, and to expect them to make that drive. It's one thing if you're here in Fort McLeod or close to it, to hope people would drive in, but I think it's unreasonable to expect Crow's Nest Pass or Nanton to come on a regular basis at nighttime. I think there might be, in order of getting more attendance, there may be some other changes that the committee could make other than these. Again, I state I don't see as it's a cost saving. If there might be something I really want to attend, I would appreciate being able to go online and view it. I think it's unreasonable to expect our parents to come to these meetings at the nighttime. So I don't see any reason for changes. And as I say, our next board might be totally different. And now we've made it so that they can't attend, or they'd have to redo this policy at some time. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Long. Any other comments? Trustee Yegas?
Yes, I agree with Trustee Long. I also would like to say is that I think even though we bring up a lot of times at school council, the whole fact that what there was happening with regional council, I think one of the things is the trustees are the ones that promote regional council. If they're not going to it, it's going to be difficult to promote it, even because I do know that I'm not saying that the trustees that are part of regional council don't, will give the presentation or to the board. But I think if trustees are involved, it makes, they tend to be a lot more passionate, I guess, about coming. I think being online, I know when the drive, like Trustee Long said, the drive is at night is not something that is, especially, well, even though we do, there's only 3 meetings. I think the meetings when they're on virtual, that's the times when I like to attend them. So I disagree that that we should change this at all, and I leave it with all trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Toon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the Regional School Council bringing this forward. I know the board passed a motion asking all committees to look for efficiencies, and I'd applaud the Regional School Council for being the first to get their homework done and bring this forward. It was really, I think, timely getting this motion to come forward at the beginning of the year. I support the motion. I think that whether trustees can attend, there's always the option to do that, but having a budget and being able to plan around that, I think would really benefit Regional School Council and help them plan for the upcoming year. My question would be, has there been any discussion if there continues to be attendance on struggles with this meeting? Does the Regional School Council committee have any plans to review those meetings or frequency of those meetings? I know 3 isn't a lot, but I know it's hard to plan when you're not getting the attendance that you hope for, and it's been consistent. It's not just 1 year.
Trustee Gimber, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, sure. So a direct response to that is the Regional School Council has amended kind of the plan for what the meetings are going to be this coming year. They are all virtual. There's hybrid, so you can attend, and they were that way last year as well. We've also discussed kind of the mandate behind the Regional School Council and maybe focusing more on supporting parental voice and advocacy, especially given the ASCA motion that was passed in the spring. So there's changes that we're looking at making to hopefully drive some more enthusiasm and people coming to the Regional School Council meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Trustee Chartrand, I see your hand up.
Thank you. I don't know the wording yet, but I'd like to make an amendment, if I may, that I'll just say what I'm thinking and then we can figure out how to word it, that the 2 members of the committee would attend, and that other trustees could attend virtually and be paid for their time, but would not have the cost of travel and expense. So I'm not quite sure how we want to word that.
Trustee Gimber?
May I suggest that just like any of our other events or things, if somebody is finding that they really want to attend it, they could ask at a meeting to get approval to attend it, or use their PD budget to attend it. This is a committee, there's two people that are assigned to it for a reason in the past. Last year is the first year that we said all trustees are supposed to attend. We changed the terms of reference last year to put all trustees in there. So if you go back 3 years ago, all trustees were not included.
Thank you, Trustee Gimber. Trustee Charchin, does that change your amendment, or what were you, we just need to,
Yes, I think I would be okay, so I'll withdraw that. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. Trustee Yeagas?
In the past, with the regional school council, all trustees were invited to attend or could attend, whether they were, it didn't matter whether they're on the committee or not. This committee came into effect with our superintendent two superintendents ago. So it's been around for about 17 years now. And trustees have always been allowed to attend. We did go virtual, I know and this started with, of course, with the pandemic, and that has helped. And we've always had a fairly good response. I think there's, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you're changing what the format was, that would be something that perhaps we are all interested. And asking at a board meeting all the time, I know there's sometimes when board meetings happen, and I guess if the dates are all set beforehand, we should know. But I would still like to leave it that all trustees are invited to attend this, because I think it's important when we go to our school council meetings.
Thank you. Trustee Long?
I mentioned when I spoke earlier that perhaps there were other options in changing the terms of reference. One of them might be that if the problem is that we're not attending, and I can understand that, online makes it fairly easy and inexpensive. Perhaps in the terms of reference, it should state that something on the lines that trustees must attend or are expected to attend unless they have a reason for not attending.
Thank you. I do believe actually it does state in the terms of reference that all trustees must attend, but expect to attend, yeah, thank you. Sorry, Trustee Toon, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just asked that if we're not going to have any formal amendments come forward, I'd just ask that we call the question on it.
Yep. Thank you. Did you want to hear from myself first before we call the question? Okay. So I would just like to say I appreciate this coming forward, as I've been on this committee before and working really hard on it and trying to get attendance. It is a very hard committee to get commitments on. And so I would like to see it try this way, because I think our main goal in the regional school councils is helping to support the chairs and potentially the vice chairs. And just hearing Trustee Gimber speak about the advocacy part of it, and maybe this is a new direction going, I think that's, I'm excited to see if that's going to produce any more participation. I think that, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I do think that having two people on this committee and being able to report to the board will be beneficial to the board this way too. It's not that we're not going to see the agendas or see what everything's talking about, but I say let's just give this a try, because we've tried everything else on this committee. And so I'll just leave it at that. And so the question has been asked to be called. So the recommendation that the Board of Trustees adopt that the board recommends adopting the changes to the Regional School Council terms of reference as presented. Any opposed? Trustee Not trustee Kimber, trustee Charchin, can I just see you, please, as I'm calling for opposed, and I don't know which way you're voting? And there's 2 opposed. Okay, so carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to E7, Elder Consult Terms of Reference. As a result of the motion 23-237 at the organizational meeting, the Elder Consult Council has an update to the terms of reference. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees accept the changes to the Elder Consult Terms of Reference as presented or amended. Trustee Gimber, you're also making this motion.
Thank you. Okay, so as a result of the organizational meeting, we have the Elder Consultant Council and the Elder Consultant Council Committee. Both of them went over their terms of reference and reviewed it as well for budget efficiencies. So you can check those ones off the box as well as having been done. So the Elder Consultant Council used to be called the LRSD Wisdom and Guidance Council. It had the name change, so that was one of the amendments in the terms of reference. Everything else was attached. There actually isn't any for this one. It's for the next one that there was more. So pardon me, strike that. That's
Okay.
everything.
Just everything for that one. That was just the housekeeping part of that one. Okay. Any questions or comments around that? Okay, seeing none. Oh, sorry, trustee, I guess. I was trying to find my spot on my agenda.
Thank you. I looked over these, and yeah, thank you to the committee for doing this. There's one thing I would like maybe to change on this. On the purpose, it said provide professional learning, powers and duties to recommend. I would like to put instead of provide.
Trustee, I guess we're just speaking to E7, which was just the name change. We're going into the terms of reference on the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did.
That's
I don't
okay.
have the written copy in front of me.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no, fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're just on the name change, just that housekeeping part. Any other comments around the name change? All right, seeing none. Any opposed? Carried. All right, so now we'll move on to E8. I know they were both listed kind of close to the same, but this is the Elder Consultant Council Committee's terms of reference now. As a result of the motion, yep.
Point of order, I guess,
Sure.
Chair. So they're 2 separate committees / representative boards. The first one is the one where we have the 2 representatives, used to be called the Wisdom and Guidance Council. And that is their terms of reference that we were looking at, that was created by in conjunction with the elders and Richard Feller and the 2 trustees. So I don't know if that's the one that she was referring to or not. But the next one is the Elder Consultant Council Committee that was created at the organizational meeting last year.
Right.
That permits the trustees the ability to meet and as a committee, but it's the same 2 trustees that are part of the.
Right, so the one just had the name change, and then this is.
And then
so
the other was
sorry,
brand new
trustee, I guess,
trust-
which one were you speaking to then? The 8?
S, the Elder Consultant Council Committee.
Okay, so
And
you
that's-
aren't going to go in
that's
this
the
one.
that
Okay.
is- That's
That-
part of the.
Okay, perfect.
Our committees, yes.
Sorry, thank you, trustee Kimber. Nope, we're good. Just wanted to make sure everybody was clear. You're absolutely right. All right, so this is the Elder Consultant Committee, Council Committee Terms of Reference. And so as a result of the motion 23-237 at the organizational meeting, the Elder Consult Council Committee was created and developed a terms of reference. Recommendation that the Board of Trustees accept the Elder Consult Council Committee Terms of Reference as presented or amended. Trustee Gimber, you're making that motion, and would you like to speak to it?
Both. So the Elder Consultant Council Committee met. We created these terms of reference and included professional learning for trustees because it was brought up at the organizational meeting that it is something that may be the things that the trustees learn at the Elder Consultant Council meetings can be shared. So that's what they mean by the professional learning pieces. That's it.
Thank you. And so trustee, I guess, would you like to speak to that now?
Yes. instead of providing, which means that they're going to be doing it, we do have a professional learning committee. I would like to suggest that we put the word recommend professional learning for trustees. It's just a change of wording. Thank you. And that's under the purpose.
So I would just wait for Nikki to come to that. I was just trying to look it up so I could follow you, but. Trustee Gimber? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
And so
so-
under purpose, I'm sorry, what was the?
So the under purpose, the second one, provide professional learning for trustees, she's suggesting changing the word provide to recommend. We do have in the powers and duties to recommend professional learning for trustees, and the thought process here was that if it was actually a course or just bringing a speaker in or something, that would kind of fall under powers and duties, recommending professional learning, that goes to the professional learning committee. Whereas in the purpose section up at the top, what it's referring to is the things that we learn. Let's say we had a topic of, 4-day school week. If we learn information about that and how the impact would be from the elders, it's to provide that learning that we have learned to the rest of the trustees. So the wording may need to be changed in there a little bit, but that's what the difference is.
Thank you. Trustee Yegas, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, and that makes sense, but that's not what it says in the purpose. It says provide professional learning for trustees, which, so I don't have a change in that. I haven't thought of the wording for that. But yes, what she is implicating is, that's great, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Trustee Toon?
I would amend it to be share professional learning by trustees, because they're sharing the knowledge that they've received from being on this committee with the board, if that would be agreeable.
Thank you, Trustee Toon. Trustee Gimber, do you accept that as just a housekeeping type thing, or do you want it to go through the formal motion there as it's you're asking it for presented or amended?
Yeah, I think we'll just amend it because that word does more accurately reflect what we were talking about
Yeah.
in that meeting, so.
Okay.
yeah.
So Nikki can just, okay. That's okay. We can just change that after. So just, okay. Trustee Gimber's going to do it right now. Is there any other questions or comments around the terms of reference for this new committee? Okay, I just have a comment to make. I think that this is a great committee. I'm excited to see where this committee can help provide the board with sharing of information and a perspective that we potentially have never had before. And so thank you for meeting and doing this. And I look forward to seeing what this committee will do. So since there's no other questions or comments, I'll call the question on this, that the Board of Trustees accept the Elder Council Committee terms of reference as amended. Any opposed? Seeing none, carried. All right, moving on to E9. Oh, look at us moving right along today. The borrowing resolution. Enclosed with the agenda is a copy of the proposed borrowing resolution for the 2024-2025 school year. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the borrowing resolution which authorizes the board to borrow such sums as the board may deem necessary to meet current expenditures during the 2024-2025 school year. Can I please get someone to make that motion? Trustee Gimber? And Mr. Perry, I'm just going to turn that right over to you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a request that comes annually to the board to maintain borrowing, potentially line of credit that allows us to dip into if we need to for whatever reason on an operational basis. Over the last few years, it's been very rare that we've needed to, But it's something that's required by our banking organization to ensure that we have a resolution and that we provide that resolution to them every year. If we were to lose this arrangement, then it's quite a process to go through to reestablish it. And so it's there as a safety net in the event that there's a few dollars that we need to dip into until we get the funding from the provincial government as we get it over a 12-month period monthly. So just bringing this to you again, as has been done every year since I've been part of this, to ensure we have that safety net, and with the hopes that we never have to use it, but it's there in the event that we need it. So unless there's any questions, I'll leave it at that.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Perry or around the motion? Perfect. Seeing none. All right. It is a recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the borrowing resolution which authorizes the board to borrow such sums as the board may deem necessary to meet current expenditures during the 2024-2025 school year. Any opposed? Seeing none. Carried. All right, moving on to E10, which is pulled from our consent agenda, which Trustee Charchin and Trustee Yegas has asked around the PD. So Trustee Charchin, were you making this motion? Oh, I guess it's not a motion,
Yes.
but I guess you have a request, sorry. Would you like
I
to speak
did.
to it first? Okay.
Yes. Sorry, can you tell I'm in a school? Yes, I am looking for permission to use my personal PD dollars for Speakers Corners sessions throughout the year as appropriate for my learning.
Okay. Trustee Toon?
Madam Chair, I thought we had that as a blanket motion for approval to use for Speaker's Corner. Is that something we have to ask for on a yearly basis? Because we had that motion last year that we could use any Speaker's Corner
For sure.
for PD, because some of them were coming up on short notice.
Right. I did direct Trustee Charchin, because we are into a new school year and a new PD budget, that I thought it was just to keep it clear on our books that we did ask for that. So unless anybody sees that differently, I just thought it would just be, because it is a new school year and our new PD dollars, that this falls under a different school year. So I did recommend that she ask for it for this year, because it didn't have a yearly date on the last motion. And so, yes. So Trustee Toon, did you want to speak back to that?
Yeah, that's great clarification. I would just ask that we amend it to include all trustees, because there's been a few times when it comes up short notice and none of us would be able to have approval if we didn't have approval at that time, and there might be something that's really prudent for us, and we've seen that recently where things come up short based on government happenings.
Perfect. So there's an amendment on the floor that to have all trustees have permission to attend Speaker's Corner. Is that correct, Trustee Toon?
Yes, using PD dollars.
Using PD dollars. Perfect. Okay, so we have an amendment on the floor, so we're just speaking to the amendment. Trustee Yegas?
I was just gonna, I don't know if this falls under the amendment, but I was gonna say, including that last PD session. The one on A1, I mean, AI, A1, yeah.
AI?
AI, which was excellent.
Trustee Toon, so Trustee Yegas has asked for it to include the AI portion that's already happened. Would you consider that to be part of your amendment, or should we make that something different? Trustee Toon?
I'm fine with it being included. Typically, we have in the past, we haven't retroactively approved things, so the will of the board on this one.
Okay, so Trustee Toon said yes, that would be included. And so all trustees, let's see, all trustees to attend Speaker's Corner, including the one that had happened on Was it the 19th?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if we just said any speaker's corner during the 2024-2025 school year,
Sure,
it
okay,
would cover it off, and Trustee Charchin has her hand up.
perfect. Thank you, Trustee Toon. Nikki, were you able to get that? Sure. We'll just pause just for 1 second to make sure we got that motion. Okay, do we have a sheet to give them? Thank you for that, though. I just want to make sure that you have the motion. Trustee Toon said to include the 2024-25 school year for attending Speaker's Corner. Sorry, Trustee Toon, was that correct? Okay. Thank you, Trustee Charchin. Oh, Trustee Charchin, I see your hand up.
Yes, I can't see what's being changed and it gets a little confusing. So can you just please clarify that the motion or the amendment is that it would, all 2024-25 PD would be included in this motion and amendment, including the September 16th AI session?
Yeah, so Trustee Toon has amended it to read for the 2024-2025 school year for all Speaker's Corner using PD dollars.
Terrific, thank you.
Okay, so there's the amendment that's still on the floor. Any other questions around that? All right, calling the question. We'll be voting on for the 2024-2025 school year, all Speaker's Corner, sessions to be used with our PD dollars. So that's what we are voting on. Any opposed? Okay, that amendment has been carried. Now we go back to that motion, which includes that all trustees can attend Speaker's Corner for the 2024-2025 school year using our PD dollars. Any questions or comments around that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Any opposed? Carried. All right, moving on to E11. Trustee Gimber has asked to pull the June 24th organizational meeting minutes from the consent agenda. Trustee Gimber, would you like to speak to that?
I would, but I'm thinking Trustee Charchin might have more information than I do. So the June 24th organizational meeting, motion 23-234, in the written minutes, it said that a motion,
Are you asking me to speak to that?
yeah, let's just do that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee, go ahead, Trustee Charchin. I don't know if you're talking, Trustee Charchin, we can't hear you. Did we lose her? Trustee Charchin, can you hear us?
I can now.
Okay, yes, we would like you to speak to it, please.
Okay, the organizational meeting on June
24th?
let's see, June 24th. And I believe it's been corrected, motion number 23-234. In the draft had said that that motion was passed, when in fact I believe it was defeated. And I believe that that's what the minutes now show as I look at them.
Okay,
Trustee
perfect.
Gibber, that's the one you were referring to?
Yeah, that is the one, thank you.
Okay, so that's been updated to now read defeated. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So it's already been updated, so we'll just leave it at that. All right, moving on in our agenda now to discussion items. F1 has been tabled, so we'll move on to F2, school visit schedule. The board's school visit schedule for the 2024-2025 school year will be shared as information. And Mr. Seguin will speak to that, please.
Thank you. I think Nikki's going to try to pull that up. LRSD, as you know, consists of many school sites, including 14 regular schools and 13 Hutterite Colony School programs. And over the course of a term, 4 years, the trustees have requested to be able to get out and to visit the school sites. And so we've developed a schedule that this year sees 12 visits to schools, including 4 Hutterite Colony schools. And this is a great opportunity. Sometimes those tours and information are provided by students, student-led tours, and other times it might be the administrator that talks to us as we're visiting and touring the school. But they're great opportunities to interact with the students and sometimes, if the bell schedule allows, the staff as well. So this is just presented for information. This is the plan that is in its second year, I think, since we changed it.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Siegman. Did anybody have any discussion around that at all? Awesome. I know the board really appreciates being able to get out to our schools and be able to have the tours through them. It's always a great day. So we thank you for having this. And so hopefully this year, not due to any weather changes, we'll be able to make our schedule and would love to see that happen. So thank you. All right, moving on to F3, the Ministers' Youth Council. So the Ministers' Youth Council, MYC, consists of 40 junior and senior high students from all regions of Alberta. Students on the council provide the provincial government with a wide variety of viewpoints and opinions to help them understand how students feel about what is happening in the education system. Collectively, the council members will bring a diverse range of life experience, knowledge, and skills from across the province. Students are members of the Ministers' Youth Council for a 10-month term that aligns with the school year. During the school year, the council meets 3 times a year. The Board of Trustees is pleased to announce that Jennifer Dostern, I'm not sure, I probably butchered her last name. She is from J.T. Foster School, and she has been selected for this year's Ministers' Youth Council. So I just wanted to say congratulations to her, and it's always an honor to have Livingstone Range represented at the Ministers' Youth Council. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Any comments around that at all? Trustee Toon?
No, that's amazing. It's always great when we have our student leaders step up and attend these provincial things and put their name forward for that. Do we know what grade the student is in?
Oh. That's a great question. We'll just pause for a second and see if we can get that information for you. I was going to say I thought it was 11 also, but I'm not 100% sure. Trustee Gamber, did you find it?
No, but
Oh.
during the pause, I'm wondering how is it that student was selected? Was their name put forward, or?
There's an application process that they apply to go. I think we had a few applications go in, and then, yeah, it's just sent out. Trustee
Yeah, they fill out
Armstrong.
an application,
Yep.
and I can't remember the stats of how many applications were selected, but the minister's office selects students of various grades and locations around the province, and so she was selected. I believe she's in grade 12 this year. So they meet together a few times a year, and it's an opportunity for the minister and the department to hear from student voices on different topics that they present before them.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that it'd be great to bring her in at some point to one of our board meetings and just have an update on how those meetings are going and what kind of conversations are happening around the table, just so that we can hear what's happening and so can our public. So I think we'll look forward to maybe a future agenda item of her coming to join us. Any other comments around that? Oh, Nikki said there was 198 applications for that. So that was really, I know that's quite a bit. I know last year we were also represented, so that was really nice. I like that we can have that rural voice in there. All right, so we're a little bit of ahead of schedule, and our presentations are next. So I would just like to pause here for a minute so we can just take a short break, and then we can come back. Oh, sorry. I'll come back to that, Nikki. We'll still pause. All right, I'm going to call us back to order, 10:22. So we have G8, which was Trustee Yegus asked to have Chad Kuzak's report pulled. Trustee Yegus, would you like to speak to that? Okay.
Thank you. And I hope Mr. Sequin uh, can help me with that. In Mr. Kuzak's report, he talked about the AI policy and procedure preparation. And I'd like to know a little bit more, or whatever you can tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. Chair Hodges, you're okay if I
Absolutely, please.
provide a
If
little
you're,
more
if you're able
information?
to answer those questions, then great. If not, we can always add it as a discussion item for further conversation too.
Yeah, I'm sure this will be a topic that we'll have some ongoing conversation about. I think probably the choice of the title was a little bit off with policy and procedure, maybe, but as it's early in the school year, I mean, we do know that AI is here and it is impacting education. Chad has struck a committee of staff throughout the division to meet with him. They held a first meeting, I think it was last week, maybe in the last week and a half. So I don't really have an update because we haven't really been in the same room for a little while. But the term or the choice of words with policy probably isn't correct because that would be something that the board would establish unless the committee was recommending that the board develop a policy on this. Certainly, some school divisions have policies, some school divisions have procedures, some have both, some have nothing. Some also have some guidelines. A lot of what we're hearing is around the topic of assessment, right? And taking a look at our assessment approaches and assessment practices. And do teachers need to do something different because of the capabilities of AI? And so right now it's in its initial stages of that committee. Like I said, was just struck. I believe they've met once. And I think Chad will be able to share more information as it progresses. But just set the board's mind at ease. He's not developing policy. That would be something that the board would do. But I think he's probably just used the terms that have been floated out there by other school divisions as they're exploring this area as well.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't concerned about the word policy. I was more interested in what they were doing with the AI in terms, and are they aware of the AI policy guidance from the ASBA that they just came out from their committee? Well, anyhow,
I believe they are. I
Okay.
think that I was included on that distribution list, and I have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I did pass that on to him to bring to the committee to consider as they go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to now move on to, am I in the right? G1, our Summer School Faces International Student Summer Program. Daryl Seguin, Superintendent, will provide the board with an update of the work accomplished through the summer of the 2024. Mr. Seguin, please take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, pinch hitting for Chad Kuzik, who's busy with a student leadership. I don't know if it's not necessarily a conference, but it's their first gathering of the year throughout the South Zone. So I think Chad initially thought there'd be around 30 kids there, and he sent me a picture this morning with probably over 100 out at the Peaks site. They love to meet out there, and they set their plans for the year and that sort of thing, and build relationships across the South under student leadership. So Chad has prepared this presentation, and I suggested to him that if he gave me a little bit of speaking points that I could present it to the board. So the next slide talks about our FACES program, which, you know, for many years now, Livingston Range has had a partnership with the FACES organization and certainly has grown over the last 20 plus years. It used to be just a handful or, you know, low double-digit numbers of students, and now We had 622 students who attended FACES, and 486 of those students came from outside of Livingston Range. So the program has a lot of good reputation throughout the province, and kids are recommending it to their friends and family members from throughout the province. And you can see many credits were completed during that time. And Chad's listed the different types of credits that the students earned. So pretty high success rate, not 100%, but very high for sure. Next one, we have kind of a new pilot program. This is a Peaks International approach. Even though it was called Peaks, the time that these Japanese students were able to come conflicted with FACES, and we already have 3 sessions of FACES happening out at Peaks at the time. So maybe in the future it will be held at Peaks, but this summer it was a pilot with 9 students and 1 principal from the Tokyo, Alberta accredited school. They stayed with us for 11 days. It was based out of Castle Mountain, and it was an experiential type of program. But Jason Clifton, I believe Griffin was involved as well, taught these courses. And because it's an Alberta accredited school in Japan, the credits that they earned here go towards their high school diploma. So there are a number of accredited schools out there in different countries, Alberta accredited schools, where the students at those schools graduate with an Alberta diploma. And so there's this opportunity where they could come and have this experiential education, get a couple credits, and then go back home. So they love to do that. It was a success, and they're looking at in the future, bringing more students. There was also a group of German students, 10 or 11 of them from around the province that are here for international studies. And they came down, sounded like 2 Peaks the other day, and had an experience and met with Jason Clifton down there. There was also a group, I believe Chad said, from the Canary Islands. And these are all Alberta accredited schools, it sounded like, that they might come for a week too. So this is a revenue source for us, actually. Jason Clifton is on a year-round kind of calendar. And so he does work in the summer for a period of time. And so he was able to offer these courses. And so we'll have to look at that in the future to see if this is something that would be a good revenue source to help us provide sustainability long term, even though we're there now with the Peaks campus, but for the future and potential growth of opportunities as well. Okay. Summer school, wow. It's amazing what 3 staff members can do over a period of about 4 weeks. We had 155 students register in our summer school. This was our biggest enrollment ever. We kind of started this academic route. We have always had FACES in the summer for 20 plus years, but we've started focusing more on the academic courses as a result of COVID and moving to a virtual school, and kind of right around that time frame. So you can see 155 students registered, 149 completed. I think that's a success rate of around 96%. So that's pretty good. I believe 18 of those students were from outside of LRSD, from places like Calgary and other school divisions around the province. I was just looking reasons, I guess, some reasons why kids might want to attend summer school. It could be to fast track high school, maybe get a complete high school after first semester rather than the whole year and enter the workforce, or even potentially enter university or post-secondary. They may have missed a course that they need to graduate. And so summer school would be an opportunity to pick that course up or to improve their mark as well. And it might also be some kids want to take a course in the summer to lighten their load throughout the year so that they can either work or play sports, and it just isn't as intense. And so they're able to kind of spread the workload out. But there's lots of reasons that kids take summer school. We had 3 full-time teachers, and one of those was the principal as well. So they teach a lot. The principal does in the summer. The last component, I believe, is the work experience piece. And so we still have a number of students that want to complete work experience in the summer. And as you can see, 43 of 46 students completed work experience. And there's the courses Chad has listed where they earned credits throughout the summer. And so Rob Charchin carried on that work and supervision. He was actually able to share some of that workload with the summer school principal as well, who was able to do a couple of visits. And as you know from the announcements, Robert Charchin is retiring, and so he's working about half-time for us now, and we've hired Eliza Gross at a part-time as well for this year, to be able to complete the off-campus work and be the specialist for us across the division. So with that, I'll just see if there are any questions that I might be able to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Seguin. Trustee Toon?
Thank you. Just a question around the work experience for summer school. I know the high schools have capped the number of students that can enroll in that. Is the summer school open to any students across the division, and is there a cap on that number as well, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had a meeting with our off-campus teacher and with Chad over the programs and innovation. We also brought in the other senior admin and Laura Stalker as well with occupational health and safety. And we were discussing the caseload. Rob has a big heart, and so he never wants to say no to anyone. And the program had grown exponentially across over the years. And so we just felt like we want to make sure that we're not slipping in any areas of safety, training, follow up with these students, because they are working in a number of different work environments. And Rob had some stats from around the South and around the province about what was a reasonable caseload for one person to be able to manage, to be able to meet the requirements in the off-campus handbook from Alberta Education, and for us to feel comfortable and confident that our kids are working in a safe environment. Sometimes it might be at a family business, but other times it's not. And some levels of business require very little site visits and supervision, but then there's others that kids are working in that require more frequent visits. And so to balance that, we made a decision that we would provide a communication out there to our principals and to parents that basically we needed to keep the caseload more manageable, and it was really targeting kids who needed those credits to graduate. We had, my own kids back in the day when they were taking, they worked as lifeguards or they worked at Tim Hortons, that sort of thing. They didn't need the credits. They had over 120 or 130 credits, and you need 100 to graduate. So they didn't need it, but it was a different model at that time. And so they would get course or credits towards their high school diploma. And we still have a little bit of that. We had a bit of that carryover happening where kids that didn't really need it were to graduate were taking up time for the off-campus teacher to be able to go out to those sites. And we just felt like, given the resources that we have, that it would be better to restrict that a little bit. So this last summer kind of carried on because it was really late. And so kids could take, I believe, kids could take the courses that they needed or wanted, but going forward it will be more on a need basis, and that's determined through the principal, academic counselor at the school, and in consultation with Rob and Eliza as well. So hopefully that helps provide a little more information for you.
Perfect, thanks. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Seguin. And again, it's always really great to hear the numbers of kids that attend summer school, faces, every time. So they're all great programs. So thank you. All right. So we're moving on now to our key messages. And so I need potentially 3 key messages from the board today. We already have number 1 is our presentations. So our presentation from that we just had from Mr. Seguin. And then what else would the board like to see? Trustee Yeagus.
The change in our Mr. Feller for the assistant superintendent.
Oh, associate superintendent?
Yeah.
Deputy superintendent? Sorry, associate deputy superintendent? Just deputy. Deputy superintendent. Trustee Gamber. I almost said Charchen for some reason, sorry.
Ministers Youth Council.
Yes, thank you. The Ministers Youth Council. So exciting. Does anybody have anything else? Trustee Toon, is that your hand up? Okay.
I don't think it needs to be very big message, but just the school visits, letting our school councils know that we visit all the schools within a certain amount of time, and the ones that are on the upcoming list, so that parents can be aware that we're in our schools as much as we can, especially visiting as a whole board. I think it's a really great endeavor that we do.
Thank you. That's a great idea. So we have 4. Anything else? All right. Potential press release items. No. Trustee Toon?
I just think the Ministers Youth Council highlighting that again publicly would be really great to celebrate the success of our student being selected.
I agree. Anything else? All right. So we'll work on that. And then in camera, so that the Board of Trustees go in camera at 10:39. Can I please get someone to make that motion? Trustee Yeagus. All righty, we will move in camera. Kathy, can you hear me?
Yes,
I will send you a separate link to join us in camera.
I was just texting, thank you. So
Oh.
I should just leave this and rejoin it later, correct?
Correct, if we need to, yes. Thank you.
Sorry, did you say yes?
Yes,
Leave this meeting. Okay.
yes.